moving on, and again, notice my repeating slide. Let's talk about slides themselves. You should be as concise as possible. Don't cram everything you possibly can into a slide. Of course, you don't need a single bullet point slide. But if you have 8 bullet points on a slide, like I do up here, you might want to split it over 3 slides that look like it's the exact same slide. Notice that it's the same image, the same positioning. All I did is I copied that slide and then just split up the bullet points. And that works as a very nice trick so that you're not cramming your text so tiny that people can't possibly read it. Go easy on people's eyes, folks. You want to avoid distraction and confusion, and one of the ways that you do this is be as consistent as possible. Use consistent fonts, use consistent colors, use consistent positioning on the screen. Don't be all over the place from slide to slide. Don't center things. Make sure that from one slide to the next, everything's in the exact corner that you started it in. Make sure that your spacing between lines is the same from slide to slide. Make sure your font size is the same from slide to slide. Don't get creative just to make sure that you can cram everything on one. And make sure that you're selecting a very readable formatting. I have a nice table up here. You want to choose a contrasting color. Best possible thing you can use, white background with black text. Be very careful when you're emphasizing and you use pastels or very bright colors. You notice that you can barely see my don't use pastels. I did that on purpose. As far as fonts, Helvetica, Arial, and Verdana are probably the 3 best fonts they'll tell you can use. 30 to 48 is the best, an optimum range of font size for your body text. Anything under 30, they say, is pushing it. Yeah, sometimes I sneak a 28 in there. I'm guilty of it. But if you go down to a 28, you probably have too much there, and you could cut it down. 1.5 or double spacing between your lines. And if you want to emphasize something, folks, stick to a color, a very dark color, by the way, and bold. If you're using italics or caps, it's not going to be very readable, especially if you have large blocks of things in caps. And the slides themselves, when you're talking about visual aids, you want your visual aids to be very simple. And when you're dealing with data, simplify it. It's very hard to see here, and I wish I would have done what I said and simplified it. But if you had a table, the one I have here is an example of types of email, and I have weekends versus weekdays. If I would have put every single day of the week on the table, it might not have been necessary if I was just comparing weekends to weekdays. Better than a table is a graph. Better still might be a pictorial representation of that. And even better is something that I didn't even do. It's a John Mayer in scale to the percentage of work that he does. So if you're going to represent something, which would be better? Doing it with a table full of a lot of numbers? Or is it better to show what the numbers actually mean in John Mayer's? And of course you want to proofread your slides because nothing is as distracting as a typo. Especially to those people who really love looking for them. And I'm looking at you, Lance, mainly because I don't have Kathy here to single out as well. Then we get to delivery. You want to dress appropriately. Make contact with your audience. I'm not just talking about the eye contact. You notice that I also make contact with people by talking to them specifically, like Lance, like Andrew on several occasions, possibly to Viola. I do that from my teaching experience. One of the ways that you make sure that people are paying attention to you is that you mention them by name. I'm up here because the cameras are watching me. If I were in a training environment that was a little more interactive, I would actually be walking back to you and making physical contact as much as I possibly can, even people who have touching issues. Linda's not here. But if you can possibly do it, make contact with people, reference their own personal experiences if you know about them, know as much as you possibly can about them so that you can do that. So it's eye contact, it's proximity, it's their personal experiences. Slow down. I use a lot of ums. This is the one that's my weakness. Breathe in, not out. I'm a fast talker. I've got to work on this one myself. If you're breathing in, you can't say And be confident. They always say fake it until you can make it. Most people won't even know when you mess something up. It's you who knows. And of course, try something unique and unforgettable. Chase after your coworkers with plastic knives. And if you don't do that, at the very least, try telling a personal story. Do something that's a little interactive. Step a little bit outside of your normal comfort zone, because nothing you do that is worth doing is going to be easy or comfortable. And then, this of course is not your questions, by the way. This is how to do a question and answer session. Make sure that you save time for questions at the end of the session. If you can encourage people to save their questions to the end, that's best, because that will help you stay on task. Ask them if they have a lot of questions and you see that things are going off track. Have them write them down. Repeat each question before answering. Luckily, we have microphones here, but it really will help in case other people can't hear, especially since we're all facing forward. The people in the back aren't going to be able to hear the voices that are projecting toward you. This seems like a no-brainer. Don't make up an answer. Sometimes you really feel on the spot. And it would be nice just to make up an answer, but what would really help is to get contact information from people, from everybody, all the participants, or to give them your contact information so that if you get a question that you don't have an answer to, you can get it out to the entire group. Give them a place where you can follow up so that if one person asks it, it's probably useful to everybody. So find a way to make sure you get that answer out to the entire group. I know we feel badly if we can't answer it for the entire group when we're there. And now, any other questions? Any volunteers? Sure.